Welcome back to 20 Years, 4 Beers, where we have just finished Monsters, Inc., and I have just dried my tears.
I saw you. I was like, yes!
Every time, man.
Now
Tim is not the only one.
Through my tears, I was watching you cry your tears.
So, as usual, we jump immediately into our reaction segment, which we call High Fidelity, where Tim and I discuss our top 5 takeaways or reactions from rewatching Monsters, Inc. Do you have one that stands out the most? Do you want to go first, or what?
I don't know about to say most, but so I always knew that the whole story of having humor be more powerful than fear was always a pretty unsubtle message from this.
Yeah.
But watching again, and I haven't seen it in a good 5 years probably. I'm just more amazed by the execution of the idea of like the world creation, the scare floor, like Bigfoot, etc. Like they're banished monsters. Like the creativity in this movie, while I always loved Toy Story and even A Bug's Life, this, I don't know, it just stood out to me of having it be this crazy surreal world, and yet the creativity and the attention to detail is just unreal in this. I love it. Like the story was great, but the execution of it I was more impacted by now than I remember 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, the attention to detail is one thing I had too. I think it really separates it. I think actually this is in general, but the attention to detail for Pixar movies in general from other studios, I know it's easier with animation, I suppose, because you don't have continuity. You don't have to have somebody on set who's like, this was here and this was here. So I do see some of that. But yeah, I feel like it's not just the Easter eggs they have, which are all over Boo's room. The names of buildings, items, like ingredients on the cereal, I think have like tentacles, and like if you look closely on the cereal box, like just the attention to detail all the way down, all the way to this is more of the writing, I suppose, but when Randall's like, you one-eyed cretin, and Mike's first off, it's cretin. If you're gonna insult me, do it right. Like it's just I like that part of it, of just the that attention to detail. I also had that on mine.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I'll go next, I suppose.
Right.
But the number one thing that stood out to me, and I thought of it the very beginning, and I was like, wait, is this true? And as I was thinking about it, it did not occur to me ever that the only real life scare we see in this entire movie, we hear scares,
true,
right? And then you see the simulation scare, but the only real life actual child we see scare is Boo towards the end when Sully scares her for the first time.
Yes.
And I was like, brilliant writing. They could have shown a bunch of kids getting scared and it would have normalized it, but by waiting and holding off and having Boo be scared, and that's the first and only real human child we see get scared in this entire thing, I was like, that is an amazing detail that has to have been chosen to really bring out, like, it hits home.
Oh, it's so heartbreaking.
Right, when you see that. Sully sees himself for the first time, and it just absolutely crushes him.
Yes.
And it crushes the audience because you see Boo and you've really, come to care for this girl.
Yes.
And if they had scared a bunch of kids up to then, it might have normalized it more. It still could have hit home. But I was like, you never see a human child get scared except for Boo in that moment.
It's almost like the Jaws effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of like, it's the world is based upon an ever-present scaring thing for it to be a power source, and so it's just how the world exists, and yet you never see it. And then when you do, it's hugely impactful.
Yeah,
where you're just like, oh God, and she is so impacted by this creature that she's come to love and sees as a protector and humorous and just a wonderful thing. Yeah. And the scaring of it. Yeah, it's bait and switch.
Yeah, it's off of the detail part too, but my number one thing was that. I just was like, okay. No. I was very impressed at that that level of understanding of saying we can't make this normal. We have to make it be like a big deal.
I like that. That's good.
That's my second one, technically.
Oh gosh, and then when it comes like Randy Newman's simple piano score there. Oh god.
Yep. He's great.
So that second one tied to that was, I love this movie has a great solid foundation of setting up this cool creative world, like I said, the execution. And then once Boo comes in from the human world into Monstropolis, man, it takes off.
Mm-hmm.
It is just nonstop action and intrigue, and it just hilarious and touching and moving. It just is this catalyst for the entire movie that doesn't stop moving. And it's like, must be what, a day or whatever, like kind of coming into play.
I assume in Monstropolis is a day, because if in the real world it's a day, the fact that Boo's parents aren't freaking out when she comes back is but aside from that, I assume there's some sort of time vortex thing that they can just go back, but unaddressed.
Yes, it's an unanswered question. But yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's over again.
A day. Of just it. I remember watching like even the beginning. I was like, yeah, okay, but once Boo comes in, man, it just moves along. Love it. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
that's my second one.
Sure, let that be a lesson to you. When kids come along, life gets crazy.
Things get moving.
My life is totally set and normal. You have a kid. Ah! I have literally nothing I can play off of that.
No, I was thinking that's good.
We talked a bit about it in Shrek, in the voice talent side.
Sure.
And how it was Eddie Murphy is outstanding in that. And, we talked about that. But one thing every time I watch a Pixar film, and it stands out in this too, we know who Billy Crystal and John Goodman are, but they're not A-listers.
No.
James Coburn, he's an Oscar winner, but nobody would even be able to tell you what movie it was for, except me. But the Affliction, for those who are wondering.
Nope.
But they're not A-list actors, and we talked about it a little bit of outside of Tim Allen and Tom Hanks in the Toy Story films, there really aren't a ton of. They don't go out of their way to find. They go out of their way to find the right voice, not necessarily the right name.
Totally.
And this is I just watch it, and there is not a voice along the way that is out of place. And I just keep thinking, is there a voice out of place in any Pixar film?
No.
And I don't think there is. They are perfect at that, at finding the right voice for the right character. So when I crapped on casting directors last time with Shrek, whoever the casting directors are for the Pixar films seem to be they know what they're doing. They're perfect. The voices are perfect in this.
Exactly. That was one of my points too. So I'll pick it back off of that. It's
Boom.
The voice work of Crystal and Goodman. Is, you know these actors outside of these movies, obviously, and yet, just so funny watching Shrek recently, you see Mike Myers doing an accent.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Shrek is talking, you can see him, or even Cameron Diaz as Fiona. Like you can see Cameron Diaz and Eddie Murphy. Like it lends itself well to the acting or the voice work, but this is such a different level.
With Shrek, it makes sense for that story. It wasn't.
Sure.
They didn't need the voices to match a character. They were fine matching the characters to the voice.
Yes.
Almost.
Whereas exactly, Pixar is unparalleled in their ability to forget about the name, marquee or not, and just find what works best for the character. And this exemplifies that even more so than the ones they've had before, where, the thing about Bug's Life, Dave Foley. Who the heck, at the time, no one knows Dave Foley.
Yeah.
Outside, certain circles. But this, yeah, exactly. News radio. But
news radio.
Yeah, Boys in the Hall. It's all good. But, or Kids in the Hall. But, yes, this, you can just see the characters. Jennifer Tilly. All these, tiny things. Steve Buscemi. Fantastic at these characters. And so, yes, Pixar just keeps on nailing it when it comes to having the right pairing of voice to the character, and the hilarity and yet the touching moments. The actors are really, really good at portraying the range of emotion. So yeah, totally. That's my third one. Yes.
Ooh, me too. Totally. Do you want to go to 4? Or?
I love the fact that I didn't quite appreciate it. Thinking through a few times I've seen this, that Boo overcomes her fear of Randall. Yeah, I think of these always movies of the stereotype of a female character in distress and is saved by some male. character of some sort. And while she's protected and, kept safe, if you will, I didn't quite appreciate when I first saw this, but maybe just didn't quite put together when I was watching again. Like, yeah, she overcomes that fear for Randall and protects Sully, saves him from being injured or whatever might have happened. I love that feature and the detail of she now is not afraid anymore. And while it's something where it's like, yeah, not just Randall, but anything that she could now overcome. So yeah, I just maybe it's being a girl dad, but yeah, it's I love that piece of just like that. Damn right, she's not afraid of you, you stupid. Anyway, so I love that piece.
I was gonna say that's a girl dad moment right there. I had a similar. It's not one of mine, but I did write just on a note of saying, it intrigued me that like what hurts them the most is not being like. What hurt Randall the most was that Boo was no longer afraid.
Yes.
It didn't matter what Sully was doing or hurting him physically or anything like that. What hurts him the most is his livelihood is gone, right? This kid is no longer afraid.
Exactly.
Yours was a lot deeper than mine. So.
Oh, I try.
Girl dad.
Yep.
Hashtag. I was surprised there was no writing nom for this. I think.
Right?
Yeah, I think that. I looked it up, and I'd be hard pressed to say that this is better written than 4 of the 5 nominees in original screenplay. So, but I would say it's probably better than another, but I understand why. But it was Gosford Park, which won the Oscar, Memento, of course, Royal Tenenbaums, and Amelie, and then Monsters Ball. Which I don't love Monsters Ball as a film, but it is a well-written film, you know. And so I mean, I can kind of understand why. I also think that had this maybe come out a few years later, because a lot of Pixar films have gotten nominated for screenplay, including this year with Soul, and I think that I think it's up for.
Well, even Shrek got nominated for adapted.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's like really,
but this wasn't adapted.
I agree, but
and so that the competition might not have been as good.
That's true.
So I was surprised.
Yes.
In the depth of character, the nuance, all of the layers and the inside jokes and everything. There's just a ton of it. The banter back and forth. Yes. I was really surprised that there was no writing nom.
I was thinking of watching it too. Like, really?
Yep.
No writing nom? Really?
It's 4 for me.
My last one, we kind of mentioned it before. It's my 5th one coming up.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Counting, not my strong suit.
Top 5. Truly, the animation for this is just incredible. It still holds up, but while overall some of like the monsters do kind of have like a plasticky type of look.
Absolutely. Yep.
Where I know they just didn't quite have put the effort into that, I think, at the time. Sully's hair, when they are banished to the Himalayan mountains, and he's just the wind blowing through it, but then coming down the mountain and then crashes, and the wind and the snow is just unreal.
Yeah, how still holds up 20 years later.
Yes, it's just kudos to Pixar and capitalizing on, like, you think about this time, Gollum for Lord of the Rings, which we'll watch eventually, all these kind of live action elements coming together. So the computer graphics were just exploding, but it totally is incredible what they were able to do with Sully. So yeah, loved it.
I agree, and my last point was that we talked about it last time, and we did this on purpose, is kind of going Shrek into Monsters Inc. because it was fresh in our minds then. The Pixar versus DreamWorks or any other animated studio is that debate is over whenever you watch a Pixar film in comparison with the other films of the same time. You know, this versus Shrek, the animation is so much better. And in Shrek's defense, it wasn't about the animation. Like they needed it to be a certain way, but beyond that, it wasn't about like the individual hairs and I guess all the hours and hours that it took to render Sully's hair. That it just took. It was an amazing amount of time. But that's not what Shrek was about. So I mean, in fairness to them, it wasn't about that. But we talked the last time about how, you know, this came out in 2001 and so did Shrek. And then 9 years later, Toy Story 3 and How to Train Your Dragon 1 came out. And how Pixar just leaps and bounds, gets better and better and better every time. And it took a better part of a decade for DreamWorks to even start getting better because the animation's about the same.
Yep.
So I agree with the plasticky part and all that stuff. But my point was that when you watch something like this, the Pixar and DreamWorks, that it's just over.
Yes.
Pixar has more natural humor. It's easily better storylines, more heart to all of their stories.
Yes.
The only exception to that too is eventually the How to Train Your Dragon series does gain heart.
Yes.
It's the only real exception to Pixar versus other animation studios, in my opinion. It's just a layered story. Everything, it's not repackaged. It's a new story. Totally. Everything about it's good. So yeah, Pixar, the animation is better. Like, they just are people who, they grew up wanting to be animators, and, you know, they just wanted to do it. So,
like, how do you think about this? I was like watching you be like, how do you sit in a room and think about, like, here's the premise of, you know, monsters coming out of a door for kids, and it's scary. It's the powers of the city, and then it flows from there, and then you think, oh, well, it's going to be kind of this almost Chinatown type of situation of like, no, it's actually not what you think it is. It's a big kind of conspiracy of sorts to get the Scream Machine. Like, yeah, it unpacks these things that are just, oh, interesting to begin with, and it gets kind of serious and interesting. Yeah, kudos, man. The writing is fantastic.
Before we move on, just off of that, it is interesting that when they initially had come up with a story, it was going to be it was supposed to be an older man who encounters the monsters of his youth, like that scared him as a kid, and he ends up getting brought into that world. That, like, the initial sort of like storylines and how this happens is, and I think the best ones, especially with animated movies, that's why there's so many writers. Is you kind of come up with an idea, and there's 4 story credits on this, and then there's 2 screenplay, you know, like credits, and everyone sort of works together, and somewhere along the way they say, no, this doesn't work with an adult, this is gonna be better with a kid, and it's all a group effort. But even then, you and I, we've talked about this in the past, I'm not sure we come into a room and are able to come up with some of this stuff. Like,
good luck. Exactly.
You know, but you also have to be very vulnerable as a writer to kind of come into tapping into something like this.
True.
And the youth and the innocence of Boo, and they capture Boo so well.
Oh God.
You know, like, if you think of the kids in Toy Story, they're just plasticky, and it's 4 years later, and Boo is still a little plasticky, but really well done.
Yeah, she's crying.
Yeah, that girl, whoever does her voice, it's somebody's kid on set or whatever. She's great. She's
so
great.
Good. So good.
Well, cool. So we have our next segment. I think we could likely talk for another hour on this movie, just sort of rant. But instead, we're going to move on to our beer reaction segment, which we have Drinking Buddies, the sequel. And Tim's going to kind of walk us through, and we will give you our ratings and our thoughts.
What a great theme that we chose. And in this movie, we laughed right away. Why did Mike Wazowski, or whatever, Wazowski, and Celia go out to dinner?
Celia's birthday. Happy birthday.
We're just like, oh my gosh.
Way to go, Schmoopsy Poo.
Serendipity. So again, happy birthday to Andrea. We started with Junkyard Brewing out of Moorhead, Minnesota. Their Play It Cool Dragon Fruit Pineapple Sour. You could have probably just called this a dragon fruit sour.
I didn't get any pineapple. I forgot there's dragon fruit. We gotta find beers or sours that don't have dragon fruit.
And it was just pink, I think, because of dragon fruit. But had you said this was a regular sour that's just pink, I would have said yep. But remember, like, the last beer we had the anyway, I said it was really good because the pineapple.
Wow, that was amazing.
I know.
Wow, your attention to detail is Pixar.
It was the dragon fruit pineapple.
Yeah, from
guava
Brewing Project.
From yes, the Drugavapple. The pineapple was the differentiator. Sure. This had none. I was like, why do you even say it is? Like,
I didn't even know there was pineapple in it. Again, proving that I don't listen to you when we actually record this. Because I honestly did not remember. I was like,
oh yeah, there's pineapple on the label.
Sure.
I gave it a 3.5 because it was a nice sour, but outside the color for dragon fruit, calling a pineapple sour was like, really?
Is it called? It's dragon fruit pineapple, right?
It's dragon fruit pineapple sour.
Okay. Yeah. I gave it a 4. I thought it was good, but I guess had I been paying attention earlier, maybe I would have rated it a little less. Active listening. Active, I'm single for a
Good
reason.
to know.
Apparently.
We sit here, feet apart, hanging out, talking.
I'll watch the video back.
It's all good.
I have 4 and a 5. I thought it was good. I mean, it was a fine sour, but
yes.
I agree with you. And it probably had I known or been thinking it would be more of a. But also, those are not necessarily flavors that mesh like dragon fruit and pineapple. I don't quite understand. It just tells me that a lot of these small breweries probably are like, well, what do we have extra lying around? Like, well, we can't just make another dragon fruit sour. Screw it! We got some pineapple. Toss it in. Well, it's not enough to really taste the flavor. I don't care. Just throw it on the label.
Yep, put a label.
Make it different. These idiots will buy it.
Play it cool, man. Play it cool.
So, yeah, I had 4.
That's good. Then we had Moose Drool Brown Ale from Big Sky Brewing. I feel bad that we talked about it's in honor of our sister, but
and how much we don't like it.
It's just it's a 3.25 for me.
Yeah,
like it's nice.
I begged you to find a different brown than this.
I know. I actually, like we joked, I didn't buy
give me a different brown.
I didn't buy a 6-pack for us to enjoy. I just bought 2 from the specialty area because I'm like, let's just have the 2 beers and not have any more because I'm not gonna drink anymore. So, yes.
No, sorry, Andrea.
Yeah. Happy you like it?
Yeah, your favorite beer sucks, but beyond that, it's fine.
It's fine. There's no Newcastle, but yeah.
Even then,
I know.
Doesn't Newcastle have like fish scales in it or something like that?
God forbid.
Probably. Still made it better than Moose Drool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a 3.25. It was fine.
It's fine.
They're way better browns out there.
Yep.
But here we are. In honor of our sister, we love you.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, it's a resounding meh.
And then we had the Wild State Cidery out of Duluth, Minnesota, the Raspberry Hibiscus Cider. I had a 3.5 for this. Admittedly, I'm not a big cider guy. They all kind of taste like juice to me. But
I love my sour beers, but not my ciders.
I told you the pineapple before was great. But yeah, it's fine. I actually like Wild State. I've been a few times, but they've got better stuff than this. But it was fine.
Yeah, I don't always understand the hibiscus desire that people have in sours and ciders. It's not my like this is a thing. Like
flour in this.
Yeah, just make a raspberry cider. I don't really understand. I had 3.75. Initially, I was like, oh, this has a good flavor, and it was eventually it almost got artificially sweet. It didn't quite work for me, so it lowered. So I had 3.75. Probably won't be our only cider, but we will rarely have ciders.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Yeah, once again, we blame our sister.
Yep. God, where do we start? Ugh. Then we ended with, and this is the first movie that we kind of had to start the beer in the credits.
Yeah.
Because
90 minutes long.
It's a quick movie.
Yeah.
So, the AleSmith Speedway Stout, Imperial Stout, their espresso and Madagascar vanilla blend here. I have a 4 for me. It's solid. It's good. But I guess I was expecting more of a monstery beer than this.
Yeah.
It's good. The flavors pair well together, but overall, I'm not blown away by it, but it's solid.
No. Yeah, I mean, I like AleSmith. They're pretty good. I, too, had a 4. There's nothing special about it when it comes to having, like you say, you have the vanilla, espresso, like a really good, I like those in the stout, but there was nothing about it that you're like, oh.
Yeah, like, ooh.
Right.
No.
Well, and that's the danger of having, and I know they're AleSmith's craft beer, but they're getting bigger and bigger, and I think that's always the danger of these craft breweries getting bigger.
Yeah.
Is some of these really big beers get worse and worse. And not that they're bad, but they just seem to, like, their quality gets lesser and lesser because they have to brew it in more of a bulk as opposed to more of a sort of smaller batch.
Yep.
And I get that. Belching Beaver's another one out of San Diego, same way. Like when they first were around and you'd head out there, really great stuff. And now that if you buy it locally here in Minnesota, it's fine.
Yeah.
And so it worries me about like Modern Times and stuff as they get bigger, but their stuff's too good to I can't wait.
Don't besmirch Modern Times.
No, man, I love it.
It's good.
So there we go.
Cool.
So there you go, Andrea. Happy birthday. I'm not sending you a present, but enjoy.
This is our present.
Yeah, you're welcome. What else would you get? I didn't get anything for my birthday. On that note,
there's no segue.
No segue. So we are actually gonna hop over to our Hot Shots and Hot Shots Part 2 segment, where Tim and I offer up a hot take that may or may not have been there 2 decades ago, or perhaps a topic that we just want to discuss. Who knows? It's a random segment. Tim, I'm gonna let you go first. Do you have a hot shot? Hot shot part 2, whatever.
I don't know if it's super hot shot, but because it's hard to find a hot shot take for this that I guess maybe I haven't seen, but it's more recency bias perhaps. But I would say the door warehouse sequence when they come up off the floor and ride the door out into where they kind of keep them all. I remember being blown away when I first saw it, like how they executed it, but just the creativity of it. That sequence alone, I feel like, is more creative than the entire movie of Shrek. And we just watched it, so I get it's kind of like a hate fest on Shrek. But to me, like having it come in where she laughs, it lights up all the doors. They can go they go into Paris at one point, which is flat in their world, and it comes out and they fall down. Like it's hard to explain it, obviously, like if you haven't seen it, but that sequence alone, the 10 minutes of action and trying to find her door that's been marked with these little flowers on it in this midst of millions of doors, I just feel like it's compelling, it's interesting, and it's far more creative in 10 minutes than I felt, and engaged certainly, than the entire thing of Shrek. So yeah, I think maybe it's just a combination of the two of them together from those movies. But yeah, that sequence always stood out to me. But watching it again, it's so damn good, so incredible. So that's my hot shot-ish take.
Yeah, and I guess mine, again, I don't know if we're calling them hot shots or whatever, but there's not, and people in the industry would take offense to this, I suppose, but there's not a movie studio that cares more about their story than Pixar.
Yeah.
From inception to delivery.
Yep.
It is all about the story. And even when Pixar goes wrong, you can tell that maybe they got off track. Cars 2 is the number one example of that.
Yeah.
Good Dinosaur is okay, it's fine, but there's not much to that story. Their worst films, which are still better than a high portion of other animated films out there. But there is no studio that cares more about their story and like coming back. What story are we telling? How are we telling the story? What are we doing? And how does this feed the story to the end? And what is our game? What is our main theme? And what is all this stuff? And that's why we've talked about it. You talked about it, I think, with a little bit Marvel.
Yeah.
But with Christopher Nolan, you were talking about how there's this director I'm always going to see. And I will always go opening night if I can and that kind of stuff, pandemic aside.
Totally.
But for me, for my money, that's Pixar. Is that if Pixar releases a film, okay. Like I loved Soul. It was my favorite movie of last year. I would have happily seen that in theaters. I was not able to. So again, pandemic aside, we have this, and I guess my hot take is you cannot convince me that another studio cares more about the story. They want to make money, but it almost feels like they know if we focus on the story and tell a good story, the money's going to come.
Yeah.
But we're going to tell a story, and a lot of this is going to be long-lasting. There's almost every Pixar film will be watched for decades to come.
Yes.
And that's not just because it's an animated film, it's the story.
Yes.
So nobody cares more about the story than Pixar.
Yeah, I agree. Pixar is, from a branding standpoint, and I love Marvel, but Pixar is truly the only one where I'm confident I'm going to walk out and have a compelling, enjoyable, moving, potentially tearful experience. Like, they're just incredible. Absolutely. Yeah. Because of the story. Because they know that, like, the medium is not the issue or what draws you in. Yeah, it is a story that compels people. I love it. It's good.
Well, our final segment, as always, is Quiz Show, where we search for fun, quirky, or even difficult, potentially, trivia nuggets throughout our research and maybe attempt to stump each other. Tim, do you want to go first?
I have a couple.
Okay. You can go first. That's fine.
Some are probably just spit out some information.
I love that. Yeah.
Speaking of the door warehouse sequence,
mm-hmm.
Care to guess how many doors are reportedly stored in the door warehouse?
It's like, isn't it? Do they have an exact? Is it approximate? Or do you have an exact number?
It's a huge number, but
yeah, because it's like 3.8 million doors or something like that.
36 million.
Is it 36?
Yeah.
Oh well, decimals.
Former Pixar head John Lasseter, 36 million doors that they had put in there. I know.
Oh wow.
Not the Harris piece, but that's a different question. So yeah, yikes. I just love they're sitting here in their animation discussion. How many might there be? Reportedly about 36 million doors. Yeah. Anyway, that's
just give or take.
Yeah. Round.
How many doors you want? It's like, how many doors you want? 35 million. Too few.
Yep.
Too few.
That's not accurate for the world.
Bump it. They're gonna know. They're gonna know it's BS.
Exactly.
I need 36.
Yep.
Jeez. 36 million. Bob Peterson. Do you have a trivia about Bob Peterson? Love it.
I was like,
so Bob Peterson
go on.
is the voice of Roz, of all people, which does make some sense. You would kind of assume, right? You would kind of assume it's like a smoky woman or something like that, little Kathleen Turner maybe. But no, it's Bob Peterson. He's also on the animation department. He was a part of the story. He's just, but a lot of Pixar guys are just random voices along the way. He also voices another character in a future Pixar film. And that character is in a film that was nominated for Best Picture. I'll narrow it down to just a couple.
Okay.
That's only two. That's only two, because there's only two Pixar films that have been nominated.
Okay. It's either Up or Toy Story 3.
Yep. So Bob Peterson, the voice of Roz, also voices another key character.
Is it Doug?
Up. It is Doug the dog.
The dog! Yes!
Yep.
Yes! Oh,
Doug
I love that.
He
goes from, that's it. Squirrel!
That's right.
The other day, my son said that actually at a play
Squirrel?
date. They were playing out in the backyard of some friend's house, and the dog goes, squirrel! And the kids ran over and was like, well, alrighty.
Yeah.
Pixar knows what they're doing.
Yeah, who says that? Yeah, exactly. Who says that media doesn't have influence on my child? I love it.
I love it. You talked about before with the time it took to animate a single frame for this movie because Sully's fur was individually drawn.
Ooh.
So it reportedly took about 11 to 12 hours for each frame.
That's ridiculous.
Care to guess how many hairs are on his body?
See, I also saw these lines. Was this the 2.89 million?
2.3 million.
Yeah, there you go. That's what it was.
Yep.
I got confused between the hairs and the doors.
Yeah, I threw you off.
As usual.
Yep. Roughly 2.3 million. Can you imagine the animators drawing those individually per frame and the wind? Like, I'm all about attention to detail as I wax poetic about it, but wow. Like,
again.
It's incredible.
Yeah. Again, you're like, I don't know, 1.5 million looks a little too fakey to me.
Yeah.
Like, what? Oh my gosh. That is amazing.
2.3 million.
Do you have another one?
I have two more.
Good God almighty, man.
You can cut them, but...
No, that's fine. It just proves that somebody pays attention and does research. Well, I have another voice-related one, actually.
Let's do it.
Do you know the voice of Fungus?
The guy that's like the henchman.
Fungus is Randall's assistant.
Yeah.
He's Randall's Mike Wazowski.
No idea.
So the voice of Fungus is an all-time great voice actor.
Alan Tudyk? Sorry, too early for him.
Too early. He was in Knight's Tale of that year, but he was not famous enough. Alan Tudyk is in The Knight's Tale, oddly enough.
That's true.
2001. What? So an all-time great voice actor.
No idea.
He voiced Yoda.
Oh my gosh. Why am I drawing Frank Oz?
Yeah.
They got Frank Oz for that?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, reportedly Frank Oz also came up with the name Mike Wazowski.
Really?
Like they didn't have a name for him, or it might have been Mike, and they didn't know the last name, and Oz was like Wazowski. Like, okay,
sold.
Frank Oz said it. We're gonna do it.
Keep it in there. Wow,
Yep.
That's good. All right. So Randy Newman, composer and songwriter, he's been nominated for a total at this point 22 Academy Awards, 9 for original score and 13 for original song. Yet he's only won 2 Oscars, like we mentioned, one for his song, which admittedly a bit of a gimme as we heard it, and the second one was for another Pixar film. Can you name the other film his song is featured in, which won him this second Academy Award?
Toy Story 3.
We belong together.
We belong together, right? We belong together. Yeah, so he lost. So You've Got a Friend in Me is an iconic song that everybody knows.
Yes.
And the fact that he lost because Phil Collins won for Tarzan.
Well, that's not that one.
Wasn't it?
No, Toy Story 2.
Oh, that was...
When She Loved Me.
When She Loved Me also, there's 2. Oh, thank you.
Yes.
That's absolutely right. That's what I'm thinking
Exactly, yes. Yeah. When She Loved Me lost You'll Be My Heart from Tarzan.
Also would have... Yeah, Blame Canada would have been better that year.
Exactly.
Then... Yeah. So Randy Newman is the epitome of a makeup award.
This is The Departed.
Yeah.
Of Scorsese.
It is. Like, there's the epitome of the makeup award.
Yes.
Because we talked about this with this movie, it beat out Diane Warren for Pearl Harbor. It beat out Sting for Kate and Leopold, and Paul McCartney for Vanilla Sky of all things, which is the most basic song.
Yes.
But they love Paul McCartney.
Yes.
Who wouldn't have wanted to give a Beatle an Oscar?
Yes.
But apparently they just made it up. It's just the epitome, and it's not even that good of a song.
No.
He has many, many better songs than that. But yeah, When She Loved Me is a heartbreaking song.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's perfect for the movie. It's a rare winner that's actually in a movie.
Yes.
Most of the time they're credit songs. Oh,
yes.
Terrible.
So good. I can't believe that.
I don't have another one. So
last one I got is Boo is not the character's real name for the little girl.
Mary.
Because Sully refers to her as Mary.
Mary's
nice.
Nailed it.
Well done.
Somebody did some research. Yeah. Do you know the name of where they got the name?
It's the girl.
It's the girl's real name, right?
Yeah. But you can only see it briefly in his room when she's showing her drawings.
It's Mary.
It says Mary at the top.
Yeah.
I love this portion.
Yep.
I love it.
The only other thing I have is, do you know who they originally wanted for Sully instead of John Goodman?
Oh boy, I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah, we've done this a few times, so I kind of held off on it.
Oh my god, he's so good with it. What? I have no idea.
Bill Murray they wanted as
Sully.
What? Yeah, they wanted. He wasn't signed on or anything like that, but they wanted Bill Murray as just too goofy of a voice. You know what I mean?
It wouldn't work. Like he's got to have the gravelly.
Yeah, John Goodman's perfect because it makes sense that he would be almost a bad guy. He's got that deep voice that kind of could be a bad guy, but yeah, Bill Murray would have been really weird.
No, again, thank God it's like the Alan Rickman with the Shrek thing.
Yeah, but he wasn't signed on. Rickman at least left.
That's true.
He wasn't signed on. They wanted Bill Murray, and he said no, or they couldn't get him, or whatever.
And Murray would be great in other stuff, but
not. No, he's too goofy of a voice.
Goodman's so good.
Yep,
yes,
absolutely.
I love it, man. Yes, that's good.
Any final thoughts on Monsters, Inc.?
It's just so good. Mm-hmm. If for some reason, if you somehow haven't seen this, I'm shocked. Well, I get fine, but just watch it. It's so good for any age. It's so good. Love it.
Yeah, I don't really have any final thoughts. I just think I like that 2 grown-ass men drinking beer can watch an animated film from 2001 and be totally normal with it.
Yes.
We're fine.
In no way.
My confidence is fine. And again, it's awesome. It's great. So our next film is actually yet another family film. We are doing 3 in a row, kind of, including the Shrek. So we are going to do another franchise starter. Which I didn't really realize as I thought about it, but I was like, yeah, we had the Fast and Furious, which we loved. It was awesome. And then
the best.
Ocean's 11 was a franchise starter, which I didn't really think of it as a franchise starter.
That's true.
But yeah, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is our next
My daughter just finished the first book.
Oh, it's going to be a thing.
Can't wait.
Yeah, so that's our next one.
I love it.
Stay tuned also for our mini pod that'll come out, which we are going to be talking about the hugely popular and well-known movie, Blow. Everyone's like, wait, what? Can't wait to talk about that.
Yes.
So that actually brings us to the end of our episode. We want to say thanks for taking some time to listen, for clicking that like or subscribe button on your devices. Follow us on Twitter at years_beers and on Facebook, or head to 20years4beers.com. This has been 20 Years 4 Beers. My name is Steve.
I'm Tim.
And thanks for listening.
Thank you.